everybody, welcome to the Fire It Up with CJ show. Today we're going to be talking about how to fear less. And we have Dean Sluyter here, living beyond fear, anxiety, anger, and addiction. Addiction. Wow. Boy, do we need this right now in this world that we live today.
Yeah, no kidding.
What prompted you to write this book?
Well, just as you indicate, those four things, fear, anxiety, anger, and addiction, it's almost like they're in the drinking water these days, or they're wafting through the air. It's everywhere you go. I travel around the country a lot teaching workshops, and when I go to college campuses, I hear that the students who 5 years ago were lining up to the counselors' offices to talk about depression are now all talking about anxiety.
No.
I heard about a college campus the other day where they now have therapy dogs in every dorm on the campus.
Oh, no. Wow. That's really bad. And so when people are coming to your meditation retreats, which you teach all over the place, what are kind of common things that you're hearing? That anxiety I'm hearing is one, but how does it get
Yeah,
expressed by the people who come into your
yeah,
classes?
yeah. It's so many different forms. I was just out in New England a couple of weeks ago teaching a couple of workshops, and one woman started talking about her two sons who were both addicted to opioids, and
Mm,
it breaks your heart to hear those things.
mm,
Um, But
mm.
and at the same time, it makes me feel so lucky that in my life I've encountered a few really extraordinary teachers, and they've taught me methods for coming back into the space which is within us that is beyond all of that. The
Mm,
open space, which is beyond the realm of problem, beyond the realm of anxiety, which is always there. It's not something that we create. In the Gospels, Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is within you.
mm.
He doesn't say it's up on a cloud after you die, no matter what
Right,
impression you might have gotten in Sunday school.
right.
Uh, and he doesn't say it could be within you someday if you're good enough. He says is within you, present tense.
Mm,
The Buddha, when he achieved his final awakening, said, how wonderful, all things are enlightened just as they are.
mm,
It's right there, just somehow. And everyone that really wakes up to this, that really finds a way to, look inside and go, oh, there it is. There's always this, what I call the forehead slapping moment. How did I miss this? You
mm.
know, it was here all along. It was available all along. Now, the basic approach, the basic strategy is at first we have some time, preferably every day, of slipping into that. You can sit down and close your eyes, and then we call it meditation. This word meditation, which for a lot of people it creates the idea of something that you work hard at, and I always
Mm,
emphasize working at meditation is self-defeating. It's like trying because any effort to create a non-agitated state of mind is itself a form of agitation.
right,
So, we wind up chasing our tails and calling it meditation. We decide, oh, it's not for me. I can't do it.
right.
I can't clear my mind. Well, I can't clear my mind. But the good news is you don't have to. Instead of trying to flatten out all the waves on the surface of the turbulent mind, you just find out that, if you sink a foot or two below the surface, the water under the waves is always silent. It's silent right
Mm,
now. You can access that anytime. So what we do, and what I've emphasized through most of my teaching career, which is like, getting to be embarrassing, 40 something, almost 50 years now, is this, okay, meditate, sit for something, 10, 15, 5 something minutes a day with your eyes closed, sinking into that. So that's one thing, to start to get back in touch with that. The other thing we can do, which I'm emphasizing more in my new book, this is my fifth book, by the way.
mhm,
And so in this one, I'm also emphasizing things that you can do right in the thick of it,
mm,
right? So that you're um, let's say you really get anxiety from public speaking and they're introducing you, you've got to get up there in front of the sales meeting or whatever it is, or you're on the phone, you're going to call this person for a date the first time, and your head is spinning and your mouth is dry and your palms are sweating, all of that. You're just stuck in all this stuff in your head. So one quick thing that you can do that I introduce right near the front of the book so people can get something, quick and practical right away, is breathe through your feet.
What's that look like?
Okay, great. We can do it right now, and
Okay, let's do it.
anyone listening or watching this can do it right now, very simply. And if you're sitting at home with great, you can close your eyes if you like, or leave them open. Put your when I say soles of your feet, notice your attention automatically goes to the soles of your feet. You don't have to do any work. We're not concentrating on the soles of our feet. We're not trying to focus. We're just soles of the feet. There they are. Now, we're already breathing. We're breathing naturally. So as you're breathing in, just imagine you're breathing in through the soles of your feet. Then as you breathe out, breathing out through the soles of your feet. Breathing in through the soles of your feet. And breathing out through the soles of your feet. Let's do one more. Breathing in through the soles of your feet. Breathing out through the soles of your feet.
Okay, so that's a tip that I could do whenever. It doesn't even have to be going before like a great big, performance or something. It could be before an interview. It could just be I wake up in the morning and I feel anxious. It sounds like it's a grounding exercise to kind of have you breathe in and then exhale, or breathing out from your feet, kind of toxins, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is, and however we want to explain it. One way that I like to explain it is that if part of you is engaged in breathing through your feet, it means you can't be completely caught up in the stuff here in your head.
Right.
That's caught up in, what do I have to do today, or am I going to fail at this, or even just sitting at the red light. Sitting at the red light and you're in a hurry and you're trying to make the light turn green faster.
Yes.
You know that?
Yes,
right?
when I'm trying to will it to change faster and it doesn't.
Yeah. How many times has that worked?
Yeah, not often. Not often.
So here's my personal guarantee to you. I don't guarantee a lot of things, but I will personally guarantee.
Or my money back, yes. What is it?
For the rest of your life, no matter how many woman hours you devote to trying to make the red light turn green faster, you will never turn it green even 1 nanosecond faster.
Oh, no. At least a nanosecond possibly.
Nah. And I know there's a lot of people who are engaged in this law of attraction stuff and so forth. And they'll tell you, oh no, I can make the light turn green faster. I don't believe it. I think they're wrong, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're wrong. And B, I hope they're wrong, because can you see that if you really get that, it's actually Willie Nelson said it. Fortunately, we're not in control. All right, fortunately. And when you realize how much we're not in control, you can just let that go. You can let go for the rest of your life of trying to make the red lights turn green faster. Now think of all the other kinds of red lights in your life. My parents were very political. I can remember my parents shouting at the TV set, "God damn Richard Nixon!"
Right.
And I used to wonder, do they know that Nixon can't hear them through the TV? Right? They're not accomplishing anything except to raise their own blood pressure. On the other hand, if you go, okay, I'm not going to get excited, and especially now that we're in the age of our new political age here, since November 2016, a lot of people are and I address that in the book. Well, how do I deal with that? So one thing is to get caught up in the rage, caught up in the passionate Facebook rants that don't change anyone's mind. Right? Because there's two kinds of people I've discovered, the ones who agree with me and the ones who disagree with me. and that's pretty much it. I'm not budging anyone,
Okay.
Then the other way to go is, okay, so I'm not going to get caught up in those rants. I'm going to suppress that emotion. I'm going to suppress, as the word indicates, means press down. And that when you press stuff down, it's got to go down somewhere. Generally, we press it down into our bodies. It goes into your stomach or muscles, goes in your back, becomes pain, or So we need more skillful ways of dealing. And again, that's what my teaching is about, and that's what the book is about.
Okay, so I want to address almost every single issue. I'm going to revisit every single thing that you said. So you
Okay.
started off saying that we want to daily slip into that, and by that you refer to kind of this deep stillness that is within each of us, is what you said.
Yes.
So I have my tradition talks about going into this deep stillness. Your tradition, which is Zen Buddhism, is that right? Is
Oh,
that, or do you have multiple?
I practiced in a lot of traditions. Zen. I started off in Zen. I flunked out of Zen after 3 days because because you had to sit so still and you
Right.
had to like still your mind and concentrate. And I realized after about 3 days, I'm way too fidgety for this. So
Okay.
that actually it was turned out to be a great thing because it motivated me to go out and find, okay, where are the methods that will work for, you know,
Oh.
regular fidgety people like me.
Okay, what worked for you? Tell me about
Yeah.
your spiritual path and how you eventually found what you find
Yeah.
now, which is stillness.
Yeah, well, and been so fortunate to have had a lot exposed to a lot of great teachers and a lot of traditions, and I just appreciate truth anywhere I hear it. I don't feel like limiting myself to any one thing, but and I was happened to be in my late teens and early 20s, find myself in San Francisco, and it was the late 60s. And that was just a smorgasbord of that's when the first serious Zen teachers were coming into the U.S. and Swami Bhaktivedanta was starting the second Hare Krishna temple was in a storefront in San Francisco,
Wow.
and Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach and his blissful Hasidim and Sufi Sam and up at the Morning
Wow, I can't
Star Ranch
imagine.
in
Wow.
county, they were teaching yoga. So I really got to taste everything.
How wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. Um, but my first really serious relationship with a teacher was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi,
Hmm.
who taught what he called transcendental meditation. And I
Hmm.
actually became a TM teacher and taught that for years. I taught that to hundreds or maybe a couple of thousand people.
Hmm.
And the main thing that Maharishi was so strong and clear and just brilliant about is effortlessness.
Mm.
That any effort in meditation, as I said before, any form of effort to create a non-agitative, I can't talk this morning, a
Non-agitated
non-agitative
state.
state of mind is itself a form of agitation.
Mm.
It's self-defeating. You wind up chasing your tail. So what Maharishi showed was how to no just be effortless and let kind of gravity take over.
Mm.
Human consciousness, the human mind has a natural gravitation toward happiness, toward fulfillment. Really, it's toward nirvana. It's toward God, depending on what your favorite vocabulary is here. I mean, everything. When we go to whatever, you go to the Ben and Jerry's, you go to the In-N-Out Burger, you're looking at the menu, trying to decide what to order. What you want is nirvana. What you
Mm.
want is boundless okayness. Ah, but it's not on the menu, so you settle for, okay, I'll have the double with cheese.
All right, so let's
And-
actually go back to your. I want to go back to your experience. So, because I
yes.
think a lot of people are like, "How can I be like Dean?" But you didn't start off like where you are right now. You started it as like an agitated, like you said, kind of fidgety, kind of younger adult version of yourself. You went to this buffet of San Francisco experiences of all these different things.
Yeah.
You found your teacher, and he taught you about effortlessness.
Yes.
So, and kind of like just leaning, like allowing, you don't have to make effort to be effortless. It will what? Like, how did you get to the point from being the agitated guy, fidgety guy, or maybe fidgety guy, not agitated guy, fidgety guy to the effortless guy? Tell us a little bit about your path and how you got there?
Well, they're not contradictory. Anyone, effortlessness is not a thing that you achieve.
Okay.
Effortlessness is a method, and you don't have to stop being fidgety to start being effortless. You go, okay, fidgetiness is there, it's there. I'm not going to try to do anything about it. That's effortlessness. But and it does take a little bit of guidance at the beginning, which I give in my books and I give also on my website. I've got a page with streaming guided meditation audio tracks, which anyone can stream for free.
Okay.
Where I walk you through. It's very, very simple, but it usually takes a little bit of guidance at first, just because we're so in the habit. It's such an ingrained habit of working at everything, because
Ah.
everything else we do involves sweat equity. Everything else we do
Mm.
involves effort. In a way, that's what makes meditation so important. It has to balance out all that other effortful stuff that we do.
Okay, so let's actually do practice. Like, let's
Sure,
actually have you real time help me. I'm sure
sure.
that one of us has that's listening has listened to the news, and either we hear about something that Obama did that is horrifying us, or Trump did that is horrifying us, or something that someone else has done that is horrifying us. Okay, so we
Hmm.
we turn on the news, we get you know, so tell me how we get from this state to kind of
Right.
effortless, kind of like I'm still in peace and one with the universe. How do I get to that place? So step me through. I'm a real life example. I
Good.
kind of experience this almost on a daily basis.
Okay.
What can
Okay.
we do?
Okay. So first of all, notice what's going on right now in your experience without closing the eyes. Forget about meditating.
Okay.
Just throw all that, any preconceptions about meditation, throw it all into the fire for now.
Okay. So what's
Uh,
happening to me
Like,
right now?
like,
Okay.
yeah, what are you experiencing right now? So you just mentioned you're experiencing some feeling of upsetness over
Yeah.
whatever
Okay.
you've
So
got.
and I mean no harm to anyone. So I'll tell you at
Yeah.
least my personal experience. So, and again, I mean no harm to anyone, but I may look and go, Trump did what?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Right.
What
Yeah.
he did? What happened to this Iran? Gosh, what?
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's kind of like, what does it mean? Oh my God! Are we going to have to go to war? My kids are going to have to. My two teenage boys who are almost
Hmm.
college age are going to be drafted. This blank is going to start a
Right.
war, and my kids are going to be drafted. Okay, this is
Right.
where I go. I mean,
Right. Right.
if I
Right.
go down the deep dark, I usually go into the what, and then I don't go. But if I dive down into the dumpster and like really what is happening, it's
Right.
about fear of
Right.
loved ones, fear of self, what's happening in
Right.
this world. Okay, that's where I go.
Right. 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 Okay. Okay.
Help me,
So,
Dean.
okay. Help is.
Okay,
Remember Mickey Mouse, the
effortless,
Mighty Mouse.
effortless
Here I
love.
come to the day. It means
Okay,
that Mighty Mouse is on the way.
okay.
Um, okay,
So that's what I'm
and
feeling.
just and as you indicated at the beginning, just to keep it nonpartisan, maybe for some people this is wait, what did Obama say?
Yeah, why did Obama sign that? Now Trump has to
What?
do this. Like, why was he
Uh,
so stupid to sign that deal? Now he has to unwind it, and now we're gonna, have
or
like
it's
trouble.
or somehow it's
Yeah,
all crook. It's all
yeah,
crooked Hillary's fault because
yeah,
of her
yeah. It could
emails.
be in either direction.
Whatever it is, whatever it is. Okay, so what you're take a look at what you're actually experiencing right now. So you're experiencing these thoughts that you just described.
Yeah, and I'm
Those
rolling, and there's this kind of
thoughts.
roiling feeling in my heart.
Okay, good, good, good. So you're doing a good job of observing. So there's the thoughts and there's the sensations.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, right away, please notice that those are two different things. They may be associated, and may be that when you think of that thought, that feeling comes along, and there's probably other times when you can think about that thought and that feeling is not there,
Right.
or that, but it doesn't matter. We just notice there are two different things that may have come up around the same time, but they're different things. The feeling, they're called feelings for a reason. They feel a certain way in the body. They're somatic. They're visceral.
Yeah, I'm
You
beginning to
may feel,
feel nauseated, and my jaw is tightening as like this thing is
yeah.
permeating through my body. I feel my jaw tightening and my stomach
Yeah.
roiling.
And other
Everything's
people
nauseous.
listening to this, they may be reacting, even not necessarily something political. And it may be just they're looking out. Right now, I'm on the road. I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm looking out at a beautiful blue sky and breezes rustling the trees. So I'm seeing that. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about this interview. And maybe I've got a different feeling in my body. Doesn't matter what the specific content is. Thoughts are there, feelings are there.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we have a tendency as humans to fixate on the thoughts and the feelings.
Hmm.
That, okay, so if a particular thought, especially if it's an intense thought and we have a personal stake, like what's going to happen to my sons, we tend to fixate. We focus on that, which is, let's just say, actually 5% of the, 5 degrees of the 360-degree what is this diameter
Worldview, yeah, yeah.
scope of what. So let's notice some of the other things. For instance, you're seeing things right now. You're seeing a screen. You're seeing the image of this kind of oval thing, and then there's a thought, oh, that's Dean's face. Notice, notice
Okay.
even there. See, we're discriminating.
Right.
I didn't say you're seeing Dean's face. We don't see a face. You see these shapes and colors, and then there's a thought a nanosecond later, oh yeah, that's Dean's face. You're seeing also the perimeter of your screen, right? The frame, and you're seeing some of the room beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
You're also feeling the sensation of the chair against your back and under your bottom. Now notice you checked in and you went, oh yeah, it's there. Okay? And your feet on the ground. And the air in the room, whether it's warm or cool or whatever, against your skin. Okay? So all of this is going on. And notice that it all happens, well, let me put it as a question. Are you having to make any effort to experience the colors in the room or
I have to shift my awareness. So if you're like, oh
you shift
yeah, what's your view? And I'm like, oh yeah, I do have a peripheral view.
shifting?
Even though I'm looking at you straight on, I
Right,
actually do have a peripheral view. I
right.
have to focus on like, yes, I do feel my
Yeah.
bottom on the chair.
Okay. Now, let's just tweak the vocabulary there a little bit. Instead, let's use the word attention.
Okay.
Okay. And because when we say focus, for a lot of people, that's going to sound like something you have to make an effort to do. But as soon as I say, for instance, if I say left elbow,
Mm-hmm.
see, there's no effort to, you're having some experience of, oh, what does my left elbow feel like?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my point is that whatever happens to be within the scope of our attention at the moment, it's just there. We don't have to make an effort to have it be there. Okay,
Okay.
it's just there. Okay, so now let's do one thing only. Let's close our eyes.
Okay.
Not meditating. No meditation allowed here.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm
All
still with you.
all we're
Okay.
doing, all we're doing is changing the positions of our eyelids. So now they're
Okay.
closed.
Okay.
Now, obviously the colors and shapes of my face and the room are gone, but there's the more subtle colors dancing behind your eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
There's still the sensations.
Mm-hmm.
There's still thoughts and feelings. And it all still arises without any effort. It just, the stuff arises, it changes, comes and goes without our having to do anything about it. So we're kind of like the sky. We, the experiencer, the awareness, we're kind of like open sky, open space. And everything that comes and goes within it, the thoughts, the feelings, is like different breezes coming and going within the sky. Some may be gentle breezes, some may be even violent hurricanes. But it's all the same to the sky. The sky is just open space. So there's nothing for us to do but remain as this open space of awareness, open like the sky. Just letting whatever comes come, letting whatever goes go. And just remaining as the one thing that does not come and go, which is this sky-like space of awareness. not trying to concentrate or focus on anything, not trying to do anything about any of the stuff that comes and goes. Just remaining like the sky. As we already are. The sky is not improved by even the most beautiful breeze. And the sky is not damaged by even the most violent hurricane. So nothing to do but relax back into this sky-like openness. Let go into it. Anytime you find yourself resisting something or struggling with something, just relax your grip on it. It doesn't have to go away. Just relax your grip on it and relax back into yourself. Relax back into this natural, sky-like, open awareness, within which everything else comes and goes frictionlessly. Okay. Now keep the eyes closed and take a minute or so to bring the body back to a more active state. Might feel like shifting around, stretching a little bit. Kind of like waking up in bed in the morning.
Yes.
And when you feel ready, you can slowly open the eyes.
Yeah. Where am I?
All
Oh,
right. Words on
there's that oval shape facing me on the screen.
with the words issuing out of it.
Yes, I hear words.
Right.
Okay, so that was
Now,
lovely.
yeah. Now you notice that, well, the way you put it was great. Where am I, right? And often the question that people ask when they come out is, how long was that, right? Was that a minute, 10 minutes, an hour? So that question and your question, where am I, together tell us, oh, we're sinking into a place that's beyond time and space,
Mm,
right? The
mm,
transcendent,
mm-hmm.
samadhi. So, and it's important to point this out because anyone doing this will experience, as I can see you did. I mean, I can see it in your face. Something settles down,
Mm-hmm.
and some of that settled feeling now sticks with us,
Mm,
right? It's like you take a dry sponge, you throw it in the bucket of water, it comes out wet,
right.
right? And then after a while, we use it to clean a lot of things. It starts to dry out. Time to throw it in the bucket again. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's really good to sit and do this so-called meditation,
Mm.
regularly. It's good to set up a time, just like brushing your teeth. So it's good to do it at the same time every day, so you always get to it. And as you can see, it doesn't have to be real long. That was a couple of minutes. And when you're not straining, when you're not trying to concentrate or clear the mind or all that counterproductive, wasted effort, gravity, I was starting to say this before, the natural gravitation of the human mind toward fulfillment, happiness, peace, silence, nirvana, God, that we allow that natural gravity to take over. That's what
Mm.
happens now. That's what you just experienced.
Mm.
And at the beginning, the experience may be clear, it may be kind of fuzzy. You continue to practice, it gets more and more clear. And what's more important is that the carryover into daily activity gets clearer and clearer. So that, okay, the politics are still going on, the family concerns are still going on, the career stuff is still going on, but more and more you are dealing with it from this place of silence,
Mm. Mm. Beautiful.
right?
So you talk
Yeah.
about in your book there are three different parts, of which you said, aptly so, that I gravitate to the dark, deep parts. And there are a lot of beautiful things in here. And so I went into the overdrive hyperspace part of your book,
Right. Hmm.
and in which you talk about the view. And oh, sorry, the hyper overdrive hyperspace, and then you also talk about the view.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about what the view is. What does that mean, that term to you? I know that you've trained lots of different people on the view.
Yeah, yeah. View is and this is a term that I borrowed. I mentioned earlier that I've had, background in a number of traditions. And view is, as I think you know, that's a term that's used a lot in the Buddhist
I
world.
did not know, so thank you. Tell
Okay.
me about it a little bit about it.
Yeah. So view does not, it doesn't mean view in the sense of opinion. Well, in my view, we should privatize Social Security or whatever.
Right.
That's opinion. View, we're using in a more literal way, like the way we see, perspective. So I tell the story in the book. Like one day a guy comes home and there's a tiger in his living room.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, he's really upset. He's really agitated. His blood pressure spikes. His agitation spikes. He's looking around for solutions. What should I do? Bang pots and pans to drive it away, or pick up my phone and start searching for tiger exterminators near me, or what? Or
Sorry, please help me. Yeah,
or,
exactly.
or or even sit down and do some meditation because I know that helps to cool me out. So he's dealing with all this, and then his wife comes through the door and she says, "Hi, honey. You like the new paper tiger I got at the art gallery? Isn't it lifelike?" Okay. Now, what happens next is his blood pressure settles back down, his anxiety goes away. Everything he may have a few sharp words for his wife actually, but other than that, without having to take medication, without even having to use meditation, just there's been a shift in the view.
Perspective of how, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And once that happens, you don't have to keep doing that. Meditation we sit and practice on a day, ideally on a daily basis, because we're acclimating the nervous system. We're getting neurologically rewired to function from that place of silence all the time. So that's practice, that's method, which is the one important phase of this awakening that we're talking about. The other phase is view. And this view stuff, it's just, you get it once and you can't unsee it.
Mm.
Now now I know that the tiger is a paper tiger. I'm not going to be fooled again.
Mm.
Now, what the great sages, the Buddha and Jesus and Socrates and Lao Tzu, all the great sages in their different vocabularies, what they say is life is a paper tiger.
Mm.
Okay, that the stuff that seems so dark and so awful is, it's like when you were little and you fell and you skinned your. No, let's better example. You were little and you're playing in the playground, and little Jimmy is there at the jungle gym with you, and he says, "CJ, you're a big duty head," and you're so upset, and you, right,
Jimmy.
right.
What do you know, Jimmy?
Right. But you run home, if you were like me anyway, I think you're pretty tough. But me, I ran home in tears. Mommy, little Jimmy said I'm a duty head. And mommy said, she gave me cocoa and
Right.
she said, oh, little Jimmy doesn't know what he's talking about. It's nothing. I said, it's nothing. What are you talking? It's my whole, world is on fire here. Now, we're so-called grown-ups. If you happen to walk across the playground and there's little Jimmy is still 8 years old for some reason, and he says, "Hey, lady, you're a big duty head." We just laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. We know that it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sages, the enlightened ones, they're like mommy. They're the ones that are, because now it's not little Jimmy. Now it's the state of the world. Now it's illness. Now it's death. Now it's all these things that we think, this can't be okay. And the sages are telling us, it's actually, I know you can't believe this right now, but it's actually fine. There's a bigger picture, which the sages are seeing, where it's nothing, just like little Jimmy was nothing. Where death is nothing, and all the sages, it's wonderful. We have all these stories about them, how in their deaths they showed us, one thing, even if you've never studied the Gospels or studied Buddhist texts, we just think of Jesus, think of the Buddha, think of Socrates. And one thing we know about them is they didn't have a lot of anxiety about dying, right? We somehow intuitively, we know that they were cool with it. Mm-hmm. We may not understand quite how, but that's telling us there's something in that. Mm-hmm. That if we could see what they are seeing, we'd see that that's okay. And I talk about that in the book. I have a chapter near the end called Valley of the Shadow.
Okay, I want to go into that a little bit about that because I had an experience where I was in Hawaii during the nuclear missile alert that we got. I got on my phone. The Amber like alert came up and said, ballistic missile heading towards you. This is not, go for cover. This is not a hoax. Yeah, it's not a drill. Yeah. And I was in a meditation retreat when this happened.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was very fascinating. And
that's some good practice you got thrown at you.
It was. Talk about practicing shavasana. Like this is like the real real deal.
Wow.
Where you're like corpse pose. Yes, I'm right there. And so, what was interesting is we got this text message at 8:15, and then at 8:30 the ashram had a gong, and it's like, okay, time for 8:30 meditation. And we all just walked in, and this is after 2 days of meditation, so probably about 7 hours of just sitting. And this, the practice that I was practicing was Kundalini Sadha. So it was a Kundalini guru who was like moving the energy in a very similar way that you're talking about, towards the center and towards stillness, regardless of where we were trying to get us to that point. Mm-hmm. So we all filed in. And what was interesting was I was looking at my teacher, the look on his face was no different than any of the other 7 meditations that we had arrived at. I'm meanwhile crying and actually interesting, all the students kind of stoically walked in. We all sat on our cushions, and then for me, my mind went to all the attachments and suffering and thinking about death, all this kind of stuff. But it was interesting because my teacher, it was as if it was like any other meditation. So tell me a little bit about the chapter that you wrote on Lord Shiva Kicks Ass is the title.
Yeah, first let me say how fortunate for you that something that I say a lot is you want to do the fire drill before the fire.
Yes, I did the fire drill before the fire.
And you did it big time. That's great.
Yeah.
And how fortunate to be there with a real teacher and to be in the middle of practice, because, as teachers, what we tell people, what I said in the meditation just now was, okay, whatever's there, just let it be there. Thoughts are just thoughts. Feelings are just feelings. Just rest as awareness, rest as the sky, in whatever language your teacher puts it, rest as that sky-like openness, and the sky is not disturbed even by hurricanes of thinking and feeling. And that does not mean that we're trying to suppress the feelings. It means that it's okay to have the feelings, It's okay for them to be like a hurricane, because what we actually are is not the thoughts and feelings. We are the space called awareness within which they come and go. And to have someone point that out to you when, the stuff is really hitting the fan is, oh, that's so fortunate.
It was fortunate. I do
Yeah,
view it as a fortunate thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So tell me about your experience. I was in.
Yeah, when these things happen, that I say, all this practice, all this spiritual practice, meditative practice we've been doing, these are the times we've been practicing for.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people ask me when the 9/11 attacks happen, what's your perspective on it? I said, this is what we practice for. This is what, we think everything is going to be permanent, right? We know if we, take about 5 seconds to think about it rationally, we know nothing's going to be permanent. But emotionally, we try to hang on to it because we associate our sense of the okayness of life with this thing, like, oh, I'm wearing my favorite shirt. I want to wear this shirt forever. Well, one day your favorite shirt's going to be a dust rag. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Right.
Okay? It's like, oh, I'm having a good hair day. One day, well, I don't know about you. My hair's,
Yeah,
I'm
thanks for pointing out that I never have good hair.
no, it looks great. It looks great, CJ. But let me just say from my side, I'm really happy that this webcam doesn't show the back of my head where I'm
Okay.
reaching. Okay. So, everyone that you love will die someday.
I know.
Yeah, you're right. And this is all the stuff that we don't want to know, right? The big teaching for me on this point was when my first wife, the mother of my children, died of cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I talk about that in the book, particularly in that chapter, Lord Shiva Kicks Ass. And, she went through what everyone has to go through. Everyone comes in the entrance and has to go out the exit. And there's some time in between here in this room. One interesting thing that happened was she had cancer, and she had to go and sit and get chemo. And, you sit there for a couple of hours, you sit. Well, she also was a meditation teacher, so she was an expert on sitting. And she was this very, she was a former fashion model. She was very beautiful, and she had this very just funny, great, way about her. And everyone in the oncology unit was so knocked out, so impressed by her sense of balance and humor and grace, and the way she was not just, pulled under this dark cloud like so many of the people, so many of the other patients, that they brought her back and they had her teach meditation to the whole staff.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it really was. As she was getting close to dying, a couple of things that she said to me that were, great teachings. And one of them at some point, and, her body going through all the, this crap that it had to go through. And she looked up at me from the bed. She said, how do people who don't meditate deal with this stuff? And I just threw up my hands. I said, Maggie, I don't know. I don't know. And then the other really interesting thing was, the really great teaching from this. It was a week or two before she died. And we were connected at the time with this Tibetan Buddhist group. And a friend called up from the group and said, okay, I've been on the phone and I can bring these monks into the hospital room and have them chant this special thing for you, right? And she said, well, I really appreciate your making the effort, but no thanks, because that hasn't been my practice in my life. It wouldn't be authentic for me. She said, and this was the real teaching for me, she said, my practice is just being without hope or fear.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hear
Wow.
that? Yeah. Just being without hope or fear. And everyone wants to just be without fear. Okay? And most people don't want to hear about being without hope. So if you don't want to hear this part, people listening, okay, cover your ears for the next minute. Now because this is the postgraduate stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? If for people who are ready to hear this, hope is the flip side of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Hope and fear are both investments in a particular outcome. It's
Mm.
like, okay, if the future turns out the particular way, I recover from my cancer, or my candidate, my party wins the midterm elections, or my team wins the series, or whatever it is, then life will be okay. Then I'll be happy. That's what hope is. It's
Mm.
an outcome. And then fear, which is oh, but if it doesn't turn out that way, life is going to suck. That's the necessary flip side. You
Right.
cannot, ultimately, when we get down to it, you can't have one without the other.
Mm. That's
Okay?
beautiful.
Yeah, it's so beautiful because for people who can hear it, as I can see you can hear it,
Yeah.
let go of both. It's like letting go of the attempt to make the red light turn green. It's, oh, recognizing that I don't have control, letting go of all that completely wasted effort and sinking into the real okayness, which is not in some mythical future, because you know,
Mm.
it's never the future.
Right.
The future lies ahead and always will.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The future, the so-called future, is like the carrot, dangling in front of the donkey at the end of the string, and the donkey keeps, we keep, okay, I'm working for the future, working for, living for the weekend, whatever it is. It's always right now, and the real okayness is right now,
Mm.
and that's what Maggie was, really a professional at sinking into.
Mm. How do those words come into your life? 'Cause those are that's a powerful understanding.
Just being without hope or fear. It comes in, you know, every any moment, every moment, Um, uh, I mean, it doesn't mean I don't have times of fear or times of hope. Note that the title of the book is not fearless; it's fearless.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not fearless. Uh, the Dalai Lama is not fearless. The Dalai Lama is afraid of worms. I've heard him talk about it, but
I love
but
that.
but but he doesn't get caught up in it. He
Mm.
laughs about it. It's like that's
Mm.
another thing that he's observing that's out there. He knows it's not him. That's another
Mm.
thing passing through the spacious expanse of his awareness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, there's that thing. And that's what happens. The fears and the hopes and everything else, they're still there, but whereas before, they start off, they're like these big monsters looming over us. It's the fears and the anxieties and the rage and all that. They're like these big monsters bearing down on us. But if we start to look at it, we start to exercise view, we start to realize they're actually more like the balloons in the Macy's Day Parade.
Mm-hmm.
What keeps
Mm-hmm.
them afloat is they're full of hot air. And the
Mm.
hot air is our concepts, our thoughts about them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do in my teaching and in my book is all these different methods and these different matters of view are like little pins. We start to poke holes
Mm.
and the air starts to go out of them. And they don't necessarily, in most cases, they never go away completely because of our particular conditioning or karma or whatever you want to call it, in this lifetime. They're still going to be there. Um, I'm still gonna, I really hate being around cigarette smoke, for instance, right? And if I'm walking down the sidewalk and someone's smoking, I'm not gonna be breathing in that cigarette smoke and saying, ah, yes, this is the divine, one more expression of the divine, you know, uh, that's still probably gonna, I don't know, maybe that'll change, but probably not. But the thing is, I don't have to get roiled by it. It's okay. It's one more thing, and it's more and more. It's happening within the context
Mm-hmm.
of that spacious sky-like awareness, which more and more we find ourselves living moment to moment.
Mm. What a beautiful way. That is a perfect way of closing and
Ah,
how we can fear less. What a beautiful meditation. I have to say that I really love your metaphors. You make the esoteric very real and approachable for
mm,
folks who who struggle with meditation. And I appreciate it. And I love that meditation. That was
Yes.
beautiful.
Thank you. Good. And you know what? And whenever I hear that, I just feel so much gratitude to my teachers
Yeah.
who've taught me how easy it is. And that's the two parting thoughts I want to leave with is A,
Yes.
come to my website which is fearlessbook.net, fearlessbook.net,
Book.net. Uh-huh.
fearlessbook.net, and there people can find my schedule. I'm doing a lot of touring. I teach workshops all over the country, and they can find guided meditation and read chapters from all my books and so forth. And the last thing I want to leave people with is it's easy. I promise, it's so easy. Once someone, and that is the thing and thank you, I know it's the one thing I happen to be good at is being clear. And once the stuff's laid out for you with a little bit of clarity, you find out, oh, it's so easy.
Love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.